light emerges from darkness. The butterfly didn't discharge of its old body. It used it, it transmuted it in order to reinvent itself. This is the liminal space, the in-between space between the old and the new, where you feel like you're not the old anymore, yet you're not quite the new self either. You can compare this darkness as the soil. There's actually so much richness, so much information and data in the darkness that's available to you in order for you to use it for your own growth. Sometimes you just have to get lost in order to find your new self. Darkness provides that opportunity to find a new way of life. It is a time in your life where your life is asking you to look within. Back in March 2024, 9 months ago, I went to a Ayahuasca retreat. And during the 3-night ceremony, I received a beautiful message from this plant medicine. And the message was, light emerges from darkness. And the vision was quite graphic. It showed me this wound, and we dove into the wound, and it was all dark. And suddenly I realized that we were underground in the soil. And then this root started to develop and to go deeper and deeper underground into the soil, into darkness. And eventually the roots became me, and I was wrapped around with the roots. And suddenly I shot up above ground, and this beautiful, translucent, multicolored leaf sprouted. And that represented light. And the message was very clear. It was, light emerges from darkness. Without darkness, there is no light. Just like how without shadows, there is no light, and vice versa. And so darkness is actually not without a cause. And as a matter of fact, light can only emerge from darkness. In times of darkness, it's normal to seek light. We are creatures that operate in daylight. We are diurnal mammals. We're not nocturnal. We operate and we thrive in the light. And so we are creatures that like to see where we're going. We like clarity. And that's why when things are ambiguous or uncertain, or when we feel lost, it kind of feels like torture. For example, if you're lost in a dark forest at night, all alone, you're going to desperately seek light to see where you're going, to get out of that dark forest. Meet yourself where you are right here, right now, and be really honest with yourself. Don't try to escape this darkness. Sit with it and be okay with it, even if it's just for a short moment. The quicker you fully and radically accept where you are right here, right now, the better you'll be able to navigate your darkness. Dismissing it or having any judgment on our own darkness is being in denial. That's resistance. Seek and you shall find. But the answers that we seek is actually within the darkness itself. It's within us. If you look at nature, nature has so much wisdom. A seed that is planted in the soil will develop roots in order to go deeper and deeper into the soil in order to be able to get all the nutrients, the minerals, the air, the water that it needs in order to sprout into a leaf. And so you can compare this darkness as the soil. There's actually so much richness, so much information and data in the darkness that's available to you in order for you to use it for your own growth. And this is the same idea with the butterfly. A caterpillar goes into the chrysalis in order to then emerge as a completely different insect altogether. The chrysalis stage, however, is a phase where the caterpillar actually decomposes itself and uses its own body as nutrition in order to completely renew itself as an entirely new being. The butterfly didn't discharge of its old body. It used it, it transmuted it in order to reinvent itself. In spiritual alchemy or spiritual journey or path, there is this phase called dissolution. And this is where the decomposition occurs, the dissolving. It's the lead that dissolves into its purest matter in order to reorganize itself and to transmute itself into gold. So this is where things break down. It's the deconstruction. If you look at these master artists like Picasso or even Alexander McQueen, these are people who have mastered the construction of their art. So Picasso with paintings and Alexander McQueen with clothes. And once they've reached this level of mastery, it's like they understood the power of deconstruction. And so by dismantling everything that they learned and mastered, they're able to transform it into a completely new form of art, into a completely different form of structure that is so opposite and so different from their traditional and classical ways that they learn how to construct in the first place. Another word for darkness is actually contraction. Life is a constant wave of contraction and expansion. It's inhalation, exhalation. It's the dahlia flower that constantly contracts and expands throughout its lifetime. The first thing that they taught me in Tai Chi class was that each movement represented either a contraction or an expansion, because it mirrored life. It's winter and spring. It's life and death. And there is a moment for everything. There's a time for expansion, and then there's a time for contraction. And contraction actually means compression. It's when you're folding within yourself, you're bringing everything to you, because it is a time in your life where your life is asking you to look within. This is a time where the answers can't really be found outside of yourself. So these moments of darkness, of contraction, of compression is an invitation to go look within, to go deeper within yourself, because that's where the answers lie. And we often forget that we have all the answers in ourselves. This is how you change yourself. This is how you transform. Facing your own darkness is an opportunity to face the truth. It's the hard ones as much as the easy ones. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's a chance to become truly self-aware, conscious of your unconsciousness, and facing the truth on every level of your being. And from that can come a sense of acceptance of how things just are, and you'll be able to see more clearly. There can also be a sense of accountability that can follow without shame or denial or judgment. And accountability is simply the absolute full and felt acceptance of how things are right here, right now, and how they came to be. And in hindsight, when you look back, you're going to realize that you had to go through the darkness in order to have become the new self that you have become. But when you're in darkness, it can be sometimes hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I get that. I've been there. Yet at the same time, the deeper you go into the darkness, the deeper the roots go into the soil, the bigger the tree will be, because the height of the tree is an equal measurement of the depths of the roots. And this takes time. And so this is why it's so important to understand the germination process. This is the liminal space, the in-between space between the old and the new, where you feel like you're not the old anymore, yet you're not quite the new self either. So this in-between space is the germination process. It's where you get to mature. You're in this limbo, you're in the cocoon, in the chrysalis. And it's normal to feel uncomfortable or unpleasant in it, or for some people to get comfortable into the darkness. When you had time to gather all the information and the data and to integrate them, then you are going to be ready to sprout into the light. And this will come as a sense of readiness for change. And it's coming from this place of wisdom. It's coming from a place of your true self, your higher self, if you will. And It's sort of a moment of clarity, and there will be this life force. You could call it inspiration or the Shakti energy or the Chi, whatever you want to call it. It's the sense of change that you're ready for to finally sprout into your new self. This becomes an opportunity to sprout into a light, to transmute, to grow, to transform into something else, into something new. It's an opportunity to find a new path, a new way of being, for a reinvention, to emerge into your new self. And this is called evolution. Through the cycles of life, death, and rebirth, you are being reborn into something new. Darkness comes in different forms. It could come in the form of depression, of chronic stress, of grief, unhealed trauma, negative patterns, habits, and behaviors, the dark night of the soul, feeling stuck. The list goes on. It can be a comfortable dark space as much as an uncomfortable dark space. And no one said that navigating darkness is easy. Darkness is an invitation. It's an opportunity for you to look deeply within yourself to find the answers. The data and the information are all there. And whether that is recognizing where you may have missed the mark, or learning from the past, going through realizations and healing, doing some shadow work, some inner work, it's to use that knowledge and then to integrate it into your new self. No one is going to save you. True change comes from within. It has to come from you. You can get inspired, healed, motivated with exterior tools and help, but at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to break the patterns. You're going to be the one acting differently to pivot, change yourself. Ultimately, you are the one creating new neural pathways in your brain to change certain habits, to change your lifestyle, to get healthy, to create that business, to become successful, whatever it is that your information and data from darkness is going to be telling you. And by doing that, not only are you doing a massive favor for yourself, obviously, but in ways that you can't comprehend, you're actually doing a favor for the collective. Simply by shedding the light of consciousness onto our unconsciousness, our darkness, all answers can be found within us. Listen, sometimes you just have to get lost in order to find your new self. Darkness provides that opportunity to find a new way of life. One thing I hope that we continue to do is to normalize darkness and stop seeing it as this demon, as the enemy, as this unfortunate thing that happens to us, as bad luck, as why did I attract this? Darkness is part of nature. It's part of us. And once we accept that, then we can start to move forward in an honest manner, because ultimately, darkness is literally what nurtures our growth. It's not creation's expression to have a straight line upwards. That's simply not how the universe and life works. Just look at nature, look at the landscapes, the trees. Nothing is straight. Everything is up and down, sideways, full of turns and twists, curves and circles, and that's what makes it beautiful. And this is a time to collectively, but first and foremost, individually, face our own darkness in order to emerge into light.